We're going to review some of the comments that we had on our last video. I thought we had some really cool controversial takes, and why not get the actual response from the man himself who made the statements, and then also his outside perspectives would be really cool too. We have, one of them was the black reparations, which was interesting. A lot of comments, like 24 comments on that.
Yeah, they didn't like that one.
They didn't. Yeah, I guess they didn't. But why do you think they didn't like it?
I don't know why, but it just seems like, from my perspective, when black people talk about getting, specifically money, we talk about getting money is certain white people or other nationalities, I guess, or ethnicities. They don't want to give us money. They not cool with us getting money or getting a check, so they'll come up with all these different excuses, which I'm sure they said in the comments, as to why it shouldn't happen. And even though, like I said last time, a lot of other people got reparations from America, even sometimes when America didn't do anything to them. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I don't know why it is. I'm not in their shoes, even though I do have my grandfather was white, so I guess I'm halfway in their shoes. But
yeah,
but it seems like whenever that topic is brought up, a lot of people just get very, very pissed off.
Okay.
Very pissed off. So my assumption is they just have a problem with giving black people money.
Okay. So we have Jordan 3512. And it says California proposal for reparations would cost every non-black man, woman, and child in California $600,000. 6 lifetime savings of debt will be paid directly onto somebody who never harmed anyone, basically making them slaves. And they got 7 people that like that. What
Yeah, I mean, I would have to actually know the facts behind that number, but I doubt each person in California is gonna have to give up $600,000. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, come on, man. People just be saying stuff. Like I said, they gonna say whatever to make it like, oh, we can't do it for this reason. But no, and like I told you the other night, when Obama was president, they put out some website showing where your actual tax dollars are going, and the amount of our tax dollars going to stuff that people complain about is very, very little. So people always say, oh, I don't want my tax dollars going to that. It's not. It's like under $10 or some shit. So I don't know what it would be for reparations, but it doesn't even make sense. People don't have $600,000, so how's every person in California gonna have to give us $600,000 or be in debt $600,000? It doesn't even make sense.
What do you think?
I feel the same. I mean, who paid for all the other people that got reparations? Who paid for that? If that worked out, why can't blacks get reparation as well?
Okay, I like that response. So I got one: forcing the innocent to pay for non-victims for something that happened to neither of them is not reparations. Reparations is actual proven victims being compensated by their actual violators. I don't know if anyone who opposes that, but yeah, that was Michael P. Coffey.
Yeah, it's not our fault that they didn't do it when they were supposed to. Like, they should have gave it to our ancestors, but they didn't do that. They reversed it once Lincoln got assassinated. They reversed the 40 acres in the mule, so it's still owed. So yeah, it would have been great if we would have had that. If my ancestors would have had that, and then we didn't have to go through Jim Crow and all the bullshit, the systematic oppression and racism that still goes on today. So we still are victims. They say that trauma could be passed down DNA. I don't know the facts on that, so I can't say that for sure. But even it's kind of people. Certain black people might feel inferior because it's like, oh, yeah, certain black people like, nah, we don't deserve the money. Like, just that thought of we don't deserve the money, even though it was owed to us. That comes from racism, from thinking you're not as good as everybody else.
Right, like you don't deserve it and you're wrong for asking for it. Why? I mean, every other race asks for theirs. They got it. They get certain type of treatment when it comes to getting a loan. You can be a minority from a whole nother country and get a lot of help when you come here. But the black people, the people that built this country, got what? Nothing.
So do you think it should just only apply to slave ancestors?
I think, from what I understand, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. If like you want to talk about like Jim Crow and all that, because maybe that affected people that weren't slave ancestors. I don't know. Maybe that's a different topic, but the way I look at it, slavery is like Jim Crow and all that. Basically, up in almost like 60s, 70s, is all kind of one thing. Because even when we're free as slaves, we still didn't have all the rights. We just got the right to vote. In my grandmother's generation, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit has still been going on. So if that happened in my grandmother's lifetime, of course, I'm still feeling the effects of that. Like, they act like, oh, slavery ended, so the day it ended, black people were treated fairly. Yeah, like, nah. We understand what it's like to be racially profiled by cops or go in a store, they watching you, thinking you about to steal something. Just everyday little shit that could go affect your psyche. That if you don't go through it, you're never even gonna think about it. So yeah, they can say slavery ended a long time ago. We're not victims of. We're still victims of the mentality that created slavery. So that mentality is still prevalent. They ended slavery off because kind of they had to. You know what I mean? The war and all that, and it was kind of like a business type thing. But they even gave slave owners reparations. They gave slave owners reparations when they ended slavery, because they were saying slavery is such a big part of the economy, and the slave owners were basically business owners. So when you end slavery, you're taking their money away from them.
Oh, yeah.
So they gave them reparations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we can't get shit. We were just kind of left out to kind of fend, they were left to fend for themselves kind of for a period of time.
So it says CASOMORU6. I can't say your name. What should I do if my ancestors was black and owned slaves? How do I have to pay, or do I get paid?
Well, individuals aren't going to be paying nothing anyway, so it'll be the government. But if you're an ancestor of slavery, then I think you should get paid. There were Africans that sold other Africans into slavery and all that. But when they still came to America, and the slave labor that we were forced to do here to create America, creates kind of like society and their economy and all that. So yeah, I mean, they were still a victim, regardless of who put them into it. You're still in that American system here, which was slavery.
Even if they were the owners?
No, he's saying basically, because there's a lot of, they're saying some people retort reparations because they say black people in Africa sold black people into slavery. So like, oh, you don't deserve it because black people sold you into it. Well, who they sell it to? And what did y'all do when y'all had first of all, you calling people property, like, that's fucked up. Like, you're looking at them as literally as property and income, sources of income. So who did they sell them to, and once they were their property, how did they treat them? Would it look at all the things that black people had to go through? I remember one time I saw a book or like a record from like 1800s of all the people black people they found being lynched, and it was so many names. It's like, and their ages, some of them were young. I'm just looking like, damn, that's a person that never got a chance to even grow. And it was legal back then. You know what I mean? You could lynch a black person. Sheesh. Like, and it was just so many names, and like that's generations of families that never even got to live. So I mean, it's just so much stuff in this country, and we don't even got to get into the treatment of slaves during that time, how cruel it was. So yeah, I'm always gonna feel that reparations are owed.
Big society, like with COVID, you got major businesses that needed money, that needed bailouts, so they could function. This is not you being held against your will. This is just a pandemic that affected your life for 2 years, not 400 years. And you were looking for bailouts. A lot of these major corporations receive bailouts to give you that kickstart. It's about that kickstart that African Americans never had in this country.
All right.
That's a fact.
Dustin Buck 777 says you don't get inheritance from people who never inherited anything. People are not a victim, and they And the reality is, when the slaves were sold from Africa by the kings of Africa, they were all prisoners in inmates to begin with.
Yeah, like I said, that's kind of go what I was just saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that all slaves were prisoners of war or whatever he's trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. And then there's theories that a lot of black people were already here in America and didn't necessarily even come from Africa. And yeah, that could go very deep. You know, I don't really know what's the facts on that.
And then there's a few other people that are kind of lashing out. You can see that they're coming from like a place of I don't know how to say it, but you know, like not come from the right place. But they said that, but you are not a slave. More BS. And then do you want some wine with that? Some cheese with that wine?
Yeah, along with the 40 acres in the middle.
Yeah. There you go.
That's what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a lot of the. And then there's a back and forth here. It says sorry if there are going to be any reparations, which there never should be. That's what he says. You all need to get in line. The Native Americans and the Irish would have first dibs.
Yeah, that's the one. Oh no, I didn't respond to that. Oh yeah, I did respond to that one.
Yeah, you did.
But yeah, because they mentioned Japanese too. But yeah, natives definitely deserve something, which I think they have actually got reparations. But in my opinion, it's probably not enough, knowing the circumstances they still living in, like in their camps and all that. So I'm definitely with them getting some. Irish, I need to do more research, but I've seen a lot of things where they're saying like that's what they're people are trying to equate Irish to African American slaves, and it's not really the same thing. And I think the Irish did get stuff. They were, when I was last time I mentioned that all these immigrants were getting land that was supposed to go to African Americans. I think the Irish were a part of, you know, that group. There's a lot of different Europeans that were getting the land that was owed to African Americans. So when they say they never got nothing, your ancestors got a chance at generational wealth over here because that land was given to them that was owed to black people. So you did get something, even, you know, if you directly didn't get it, but your family got it, and you may have benefited from that. They say the Japanese for the concentration camps, the America paid the Japanese people that were in the concentration camps like $6 billion in reparations back in, I think in the 90s, early 90s, late 80s, early 90s or something. So they did get their reparations.
Yes, that's the response to it.
Yeah, they probably have some more responses to this one.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have some. Bring them on. Bring on the comments, but make sure they're coming from a place of like understanding.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean we do understand, but it means that we're willing to see another perspective.
Right. Yeah, that's how I think people should look at it. Like, I don't know why people care. Like you just said, Native Americans, they should get more. Like, it doesn't affect me. Like, you don't see me like, oh, they shouldn't get it. Like, no, they should get it. Everybody who deserves something should get it. That's how I look at it. So I don't understand why people look at it like when it comes to us and be like, oh, they just get so angry. It's like, damn, what do we do? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. But you see the comments, they like angry.
We don't want to make the economy thrive.
Right.
We're American citizens.
Right.
Too. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Right. We don't want the country to go to shit.
Yeah.
Like we live here. We
gotta live it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so people think that, like I said, they think the country's gonna go to shit if it happens. But like I said last week, they just gave Ukraine like billions or trillions of dollars. Is that fucking the country up? Like, we're still living our everyday life. Like, the money that they took to do that, they could have easily done in reparations. Just same money, and we'd be in the same place we are today, as far as the general society. So I do think it's possible to do without fucking the whole country up.
Yeah.
Economic wise. We
gotta take care of our people.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta right the wrong. And like I said, we still go through shit. Like, if a cop gets behind us, we're gonna get paranoid. Like, because we've been through that. I've been pulled over at a gas station. I've been pulled over at a red light, doing nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've been through it. I know how it is. I had people. Remember the white dude in the neighborhood when he was kids called us. live next to Teddy. Like, we done been through it, like, the racism. And like I said last time, they tried to kill my grandmother. I could have been not here if they would have succeeded, just all from racism. And as well after slavery. So it's stuff that we had to deal with and continue had to deal with. So I just think that they should make it right, or at least attempt to. Yeah. And we need, like I've been saying, like white people, black people, everybody, we all need to be together. So don't get mad at us because we're asking for what we deserve. You should be on our side. And we come together and fix what's right for all of us. Yeah. Not like I'm saying only fix right what's right for us. I'm saying we need to fix what's right for everybody. But for us specifically, it seems like a lot of people in our community don't even want to ask for it. So
and that's not even getting into like who we're actually related to, because a lot of black people are related to a lot of these ex-presidents and people that had power, and what do we get for that? We don't truly know. Like I recently found out I'm related to I believe it's Dolly Payne Madison, the wife of James Madison.
Wow. What percent?
That I couldn't tell you, but yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's how I found out.
My mother is a Payne.
Yeah, the white side of my family I found out came over from Boston. On the
so that alone, reparation, who we're really related to, and what we owe or could be owed from that.
Right.
You know?
This one was for 2020 during the protests.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this guy, Bagel Mensk. He said, all I saw from my end was burning buildings, ignorance, and blind rage. I wish it wasn't that way.
Yeah, he saw that when the MAGA people was down there on January 6th. That's when he seen that. They was doing a lot more in the city than he's. I guess he's assuming he's saying that black people was out there running crazy, doing all that burning and stuff. But the MAGA people did a lot more. And I was out there at the protests before the January 6th. They had 3 MAGA protests total. I was out there for the first 2, and they were running through the streets fighting people, like tearing Black Lives Matter signs down. They were running through the streets causing craziness. But the perception is like all the black people were out there just looting and all that stuff, which a little bit of that happened, but for the most part it was peaceful protests. And things got rowdy once the MAGA people came, and they were the ones antagonizing things and starting things. And I saw it with my own eyes. I have some videos of it. Like, I have videos of it.
Yeah, I vaguely remember the police were kind of antagonizing protesters.
Oh, man. It was wild. The police were chaperoning, basically, like escorting the MAGA people. As they were going around acting crazy, police are escorting them, trying to make sure there are no clashes, even though there were some clashes, like big brawls in the middle of the street and all that. But they're the ones acting all hype when they got here. Like, that was them. And for the most part, it was very peaceful protests. And that's what I saw for the most part. I saw a few stores, get like that first day, really like them first 2 days. That's when there was more looting and stuff. But for the most part, this went on for months. For the most part, it was peaceful protests. It was like them first 2 days when everything got kicked off. And then people think it was agent provocateurs in the crowds throughout, not just here, but throughout the country, that kind of kicked stuff off. And there was one in Minnesota they found out he was like a cop or something. He's the one that kicked it off and threw the brick through AutoZone and set it on fire. He was actually like an undercover cop or something. Wow. So you never really know who's starting the riots and stuff. But for the most part, the protests were peaceful. And that I have videos to prove that. Like I said, I had videos to prove what the Trump people were doing. And he want to say they were messing up the city, then he just want to say we were messing up the city, then what's worse, looting a store or actually breaking into the Capitol? You know what I mean? They were threatening. They were talking about killing Mike Pence and all that crazy shit. Yeah. Like, what's worse? Like, they actually were trying to overthrow the fucking government.
Mm-hmm.
but they want to call us thugs and shit. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of responses to that. See, the one that had the most likes, there's 2 of them by the same person. They probably liked their own comment.
You're right.
It says JG Pyro says, you can support a cause without being a criminal. Destruction of property and stealing from people who have never wronged you is not protesting. It's just being a thug.
No, he's right. You can support a cause without being a criminal, but at the same time, at the end of the day, who really gives a fuck? Like, do I give a fuck about Nordstrom's being broken into, or about the person that got killed by the police? Like, if you're just focusing on the reaction instead of what caused the reaction, that already exposes what how you really feel. Because you're choosing to see the negative response, but what are we responding to? What are people responding to? Like, you choosing to ignore that part. Like, I don't care if I saw T-Mobile, they broke into a T-Mobile. Like, I don't give a fuck about that. Oh, nah, this is about the 2020, the protests and shit. Yeah, but I don't.
I mean, it's still like people's businesses. It's like
Yeah, more like I agree, especially like small businesses is more serious.
Down there for that too. I actually was down there and I watched the police. I was parked on the street. The crowd.
Oh yeah,
The crowd is walking down the street, like not doing anything, not breaking into nothing. They're just walking. It's a big crowd. The police blocked one street, tried to block them off in the front, and just started shooting flash bombs, pepper spray, just shooting at the crowd. And like he said, somebody just was killed by the police, and now y'all pulling up and shooting flash bangs, and I'm in my car like, what are they shooting? Like, why are they shooting at them? And these are kids. They're shooting at kids. These are people's kids, and you're antagonizing.
There was a lot of that going on. You had to do a lot of running, cover your face from the tear gas. Like, it was crazy, man.
Like, I literally had to duck down. I'm in my car minding my business, and the crowd, they not doing nothing. They just walking, and they just start shooting. I had to pull up to the barricade and say, "Man, y'all gotta let me out of here."
Because they're kind of boxing you in.
Yeah, they boxed the whole street in.
They were trapping people. They did that up Adams Morgan, kind of like same thing, boxed them in, and then kept them there for hours, and then arrested a few of them.
That's in those comments. Wasn't nowhere.
Exactly.
Nowhere near
They experienced that.
Nowhere near it. They just going off what they saw on the news and heard about on the news, but they didn't actually see.
They just following the narrative, whatever narrative they were told, instead of actually being out there. And I was out there for.
I wasn't even involved in the protest, and I'm telling you my experience as somebody just being parked on the street while this is going on.
And that's the night.
And I got mad because y'all shooting shit
in your eyes,
in my direction. And I ain't got nothing to do with nothing.
And wasn't that the night the chopper came down in the middle by Capital One or something?
It came down low as shit.
That was like a big deal because they had to figure out like who authorized the chopper, National Guard chopper to get that low on civilian streets. Like, that was a big deal.
Why were they going down?
I don't know what they found out with. They were just, like you said, they were just fucking with people. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a lot, man. It was crazy. Like, that whole shit was crazy. Just seeing that. That was a wild time in DC. Like, very wild. But yeah, you definitely saw a lot of police antagonizing people, and that would definitely happen. And like I said, the MAGA people definitely were. They came here to fight. That's what they were here for. They weren't here to protest so all them when people try to talk about the Black Lives Matter protesters, you gotta direct that same energy to the MAGA people. Because they were out there on some. The Black Lives Matter people are upset because like what we've been talking about from slavery to now, all the shit that's happened. So it's like you can reach a boiling point. The MAGA people are just upset because we're upset. because we want what's right. They upset because they not. What are you fucking mad about? Like, it's like I said, but it just exposes how you really feel about us, how you really think of us. Because if I see people get done wrong, I want justice for them.
Mm.
Like, don't have nothing to do with me. I just want what's right for the next person. So if I'm mad at them trying to get the right thing, that means I really have an agenda against them.
Mm-hmm.
So I just look at people just expose themselves.
We could settle it once and for all. Whoever wins at arm wrestle, me versus you. If you win, you get reparations.
right.
Let's get it.
So if you lose, you're gonna have a lot of people mad at you.
Yeah, don't comment. Like, that's being sarcastic. Don't even.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to be a hater, and I accept all my haters. Yeah,
Right. The engagement.
Yeah, I think we covered it.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Think